And so at last, mankind began the conquest and colonization of deep space.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time. This is a video I want to do on Adrian Tchaikovsky. So I was thinking about waiting until I'd read everything that I owned by him. But the thing is, I'm going to keep buying stuff by him. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'm always going to have more that I haven't read yet. So I might do a follow-up video with like a review of some of the books that I've read. But basically, I've read 5 of his books. And I think he is amazing. And he's also, I've seen interviews with him on YouTube, and he just seems like a really interesting guy as well. Very down to earth and like easy to interview, if you like. You know, some of the ways he's responded have been really respectful and awesome. So yeah, I quite like that as well. And I know that he plays D&D or role-playing games with Claire North, which is awesome because I'm a big Claire North fan as well. So anyway, Adrian Tchaikovsky was born in 1972. So he's just 1 year younger than me, actually. And I know that he spent about 15 years trying to get published, but then was published eventually with his first book, which was the first book of the Shadows of the Apt series, which was in 2008. So the first time he was published was in 2008. And then those series of books were 10 books that, as I said, started in 2008. And went through to, I don't know if you heard Ralph just then. You're right. 10 books that started in 2008 and then finished in 2022. So that's like the latest of the Shadows of the Apt books. The 5 books I've read don't include any of those, but I have got 2 of them. So I will mention them when I go through my books. But that was obviously an important moment in his career because that's when he was first published. The first book. So he did kind of start as a fantasy author, but he's probably written mostly science fiction now. But I know he goes between the 2. He received an Arthur C. Clarke Award in 2016 for Children of Time. And Children of Time, I will talk about last. I'm going to finish the video with Children of Time. But I'm going to get there through some of the books I've got. And also I've read 2 books by him, which I don't own. I got them out of the library. So I'll mention them now, actually, because I'll end up forgetting them if I just go through the books I've got. So I read Ironclads, which is a really interesting short novel. Technically, possibly a novella, but it's definitely shorter than certainly a lot of his books, because a lot of his books are quite big. Ironclads, really good. And has some really interesting things to say about war. So lots of political commentary in Ironclads. And I thought it was really, really good. And then Elder Race was the other one I read from the library, which has got some really interesting things to say about language. And actually, there's some subtext in there about depression as well. And I know that he's got some knowledge of that. So that's really cool. One thing I haven't said, which does become quite relevant later, is that he did study zoology and psychology at University of Reading. So that can inform some of what he writes, which is really cool. But then he became, he had a job in the legal profession, and then eventually became a full-time writer in 2018. So those are the 2 books that I had read that I don't own. And there's 3 of the books that I own that I've read as well. So I've read 5, and I absolutely love what he does. So he is one of my favourite authors, even though I've got lots of things I haven't read yet. And infamously, me and Dave keep talking about buddy reading one of the books, but I'll get there in a second. So let's start with the fantasy, because it's the fantasy stuff that he started with initially. So you've got I've got 2 books of the Shadows of the Apt series here. So I've only got book 3 and book 4. So I haven't started them because I haven't got book 1 and 2. Books 1 and 2. So if I get books 1 and 2, then I will start the series. But they were good condition, and I knew that I really liked the author. When I bought these, I'd only read Children of Time. That was the first book I read by him. But yeah, I had to get these because I found them in a charity shop for £1.50, it says here. So I had to get them. So I got 3 and 4. But this was the series that he started with. So I don't know if there's any sense we can get yeah, I don't think I can get much of a sense of it for you about what the series is like. But what I'll do is, as I get them and I read them, then I can talk about the series a bit more. But that's what he was first published for in 2008. And then I've got this series as well, which I'm not sure what the series is called, but this is the first book, Tiger and the Wolf. Does it say anything about what the series is called? I don't know what the series is called. But this is The Tiger and the Wolf, right? Lovely covers. And I've got this whole series. It's a trilogy. So I've got Tiger and the Wolf, and then number 2 is The Bear and the Serpent. The Time for Peace is Over. The Bear and the Serpent, big fantasy epic. And then The Hyena and the Hawk. Really lovely covers, actually, I think. Really, really nice. Very, very stylized and beautiful. So that's a trilogy that I'm pretty sure it's a trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. So I feel like I've got, I've got the material there to start reading it. So those were the fantasy ones I've got. And then, as I said before, Cage of Souls is the one that me and Dave have been talking about buddy reading for quite a while. I almost did it twice, but it's a big chunker and there's so many events happening that I put it off a couple of times. I know a little bit about the plot. I don't want to delve too much. I don't want to have too many spoilers. But what I know about the plot, I think this is going to be really, really good. This is a big old standalone book. Cage of Souls is from what I know of it, I'm imagining it's going to be one of my favourites from what I know. But I haven't read it yet, but might be reading this very soon. So that's Cage of Souls, and then another one that's another standalone I've got is Doors of Eden, which again was a big bestseller. I think it's like Portal Fantasy. I think this one. It could be a bit. Could be a bit fantasy like. Looks like it's set in Bodmin Moor, which is interesting. But anyway, The Doors of Eden is another one I've got that I haven't read yet. So there is a series of books that he wrote, which is called the Final Architecture series. And there's a number of books in the series. I think there's over 3 or 4. But I've got the first one, which is Shards of Earth. I know Greg read this recently and was a bit dismissive of it. Sort of said it was fun, but not particularly deep. But that doesn't seem like Adrian Tchaikovsky to me. So I might get a different interpretation. So we'll see. I can't imagine him writing something particularly light. I think everything I've read by him has been pretty multi-layered in its kind of and its depth, So I don't know. But Shards of Earth is definitely one I'll get to at some point, and it's the first one in his Final Architecture series. And then I've got Dogs of War, which was the second book I read by him, and it's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I think it's quite unique in a way. It's about AI, but the way it mixes a very common theme about robotics and the relationship between man and robotics with a long-standing relationship that man has had with dogs is really cool. It's really, really inventive, and you do really feel for Rex, the dog. I read this a few years back, at least 2 years ago, and it's still really fresh in my mind because it's that good. Dogs of War is brilliant. So definitely recommend it. If you feel like you don't want to try one of his really big books and you want to go for something smaller first, then find Dogs of War because you'll love it. So Dogs of War is really good. And then I've got the other book that's in that universe, if you like, which is called Bearhead. So I didn't even know this was coming out. And then I saw it on the shelf, got well excited because I love Dogs of War so much. So that was really cool and I found that. So I want to read this really soon. And I'm hoping, because I'm going to concentrate on science fiction in the summer, this is definitely one I might get to. So Bearhead is I don't know if it's a sequel to Dogs of War, but it's definitely it follows on from it as far as the same concept. So Barehead. And then you've got the Children of Time trilogy. So I've read the first two. I haven't read the new one yet, but I've got the new one. I've got the latest one, and I'm very excited to read it. So, Children of Time. This is the one that we got the big award for. This is the one that everybody talks about. This is the one that I did a standalone video on this. So on my channel somewhere from a couple of years ago is me talking in depth about this book. It's about 20 minutes long. I'll stick it at the end of the video as a link if you want to watch it. I think this is a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. It's phenomenal. There's so many layers to it. It's so interesting. There's so many things that he does with it that really pushes the concept forward. And ultimately, what is really important is it's a fun read as well. So it's not one of those things that's like mired in science and trying to kind of be as clever as possible. It is clever and it is scientific. He did loads of research about how spiders work and but just some of the other concepts that are in it, some of the other scientific things that are in it. He did a lot of research before he wrote this. Although I think his background in zoology helped, but he did do a lot of research. So it is definitely scientific. It's definitely intelligent, but it's so easy to read. I mean, I couldn't put it down. I kept going, oh, one more chapter. I can't really talk about how much I love this. When I talk about my favorite books, I often say they're I Am Legend and Flowers for Algernon. But if this isn't above those two, it's definitely in my top 3 of all time. I love it, absolutely love it. It's brilliant. And I was so shocked because I didn't know what to expect. First time I was just giving him a go, and I liked the idea that was on the back. And I thought, well, I'll read this, and I just couldn't believe it. I was just totally thrown by how brilliant it was. So yeah, Children of Time is fantastic. The second book, I can't find my copy of that. I definitely have the second book, but I can't find it. So that was Children of Ruin. So I'll just put a picture of that up here now. Children of Ruin was good. It wasn't quite as good as Children of Time, but I think that's, it's one of those things that Children of Time is so good at what it does. It knocks it out of the park. That really, to say that another book isn't as good is not really damning it that hard, because it is good. It is very good, but it's just not got the pace that Children of Time's got. So it's got the complexity, it's got the interesting world building, it's got the drama in it, but it hasn't got the thing that keeps you wanting to pick it up. So I'd say that's lacking in the second one. And he goes from spiders to octopuses in the second one. I think the plural is octopi. And then the third one is Children of Memory. So I've recently got this. I only bought this a couple of weeks ago because I was fed up and not having it. And me and Dave have been talking about Tchaikovsky a lot. So I thought it was about time I had this. And now I've got the ability, physical ability, to read this. I have it in my house. I have it in my hand now. I have access to it, so I can read it whenever I'm ready. And obviously I can read Cage of Souls as well at some point. So yeah, I look forward to this. And it's interesting because he must realise that people are reading this after a big gap, because I had a look and it starts with this. So I think he's thinking, I need to do the story so far, previously on Children of Time. So that's an interesting addition to the thing. And to be fair, I can remember a lot of Children of Time. I can remember a little bit of Children of Ruin, but it's quite handy to have that, so I don't have to panic too much and read a synopsis or something. That's the trouble when there's a series of books in it. But anyway, I'm going to read this soon. That's Children of Memory, which is quite a recent one. So this came out last year, I think. Came out last year. He's released. He's about to release a really interesting sounding one that's about robotics or AI, androids or something, that's coming out very soon, which looks really cool. And he's already released another one this year anyway. He writes like crazy. So he's probably one of those people that once his ideas are flowing, the mechanics of writing is not a problem. Because I think sometimes, I think George Martin has talked a bit before about he wishes he could write faster because he takes longer just on the mechanics of writing, like piecing it together. So I think Tchaikovsky just hasn't got that problem. He can just go bang it out once he's got an idea, which is great, because I don't think you can see that he's writing too fast in the books from the 5 that I've read. I think they're awesome. So yeah, really love his work. Tell me if you like his stuff, and I'm looking forward to doing some more videos on him, really, because I did Children of Time, but ultimately this is my first more general one of his stuff. And if I read Barehead soon, I'll probably do one on the bio. Oh, what's it called? They've got a name for the series. Bioform series, I think it is. The Bioform series. So obviously dogs and bears. But I can do a video on those. I don't know if he's going to release another one or not. But anyway, nattering on now. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay curious.
Paint me a picture of what it's like to be